up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ill Communication. I'm joined today by a fellow Canadian expat living in the Bay Area.
What it do?
The one and only Stylust Beats.
Yeah.
He's managed to produce his way out of our icy ghetto and, escape to the land of opportunity to... No, I'm just being facetious. But yeah, seriously, we're both Canadians living in the U.S. with these visas. It's just crazy getting over here, baby. Man. But yeah, he made it. He made it. So which visa are you on, the P or the O?
I'm on the O one.
Oh, that's okay. So for those of you who don't know, there's two main kinds of visas that you can get as a Canadian artist coming into the U.S. There's the performer visa, which means that you are, essentially interchangeable with other people who are doing the same job. And then there's the O visa, which is the visa for aliens with or outstanding persons, aliens with extraordinary abilities. And you have to prove that you're actually creating employment to get that visa. So
I thought the P one was always for the groups.
Yeah,
so if you're
groups.
A group of two or more, you go for the P, and if you're solo, you go for the O or something like that. Mm-hmm. Is that true, or I don't even know.
Yeah, it is, but I mean that's essentially the difference, because the P visa you can't actually live in the U.S., right? Oh, okay. That's for if you're a performer coming in. So. Yeah. But yeah, he made it. He made it. Slogged through all the Franz Kafka paperwork, and now we're here, and we're in the Furry Room, and we're going to talk about music and life and all kinds of fun things. So, Jeff, what can you tell me about where you started coming, musically, and kind of how your evolution transpired?
Yeah, actually, I started with turntables and just messing about doing hip-hop DJ kind of stuff. And then I really got into hip-hop production and stuff, and very first Acid one, I was back on that, dating myself pretty good with that one, and just making random little beats here and there. And then I kind of traveled after high school and ran into another Canadian actually in Australia, and he was like, "Oh, did you know there's schools where they teach you about music?" And I had no idea.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't know whether I was going to get a job or going to go to college or whatever. And then I was like, "Okay, well, technical music college, let's do that." And so I got into that and ended up running a studio in Vancouver for about 8 years, all in studios. So did a lot of hip hop, rock, pop, whatever stuff. A lot of different stuff to kind of keep the studio afloat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and, have you, what sorts of hardware have you liked using historically?
I started on Pro Tools because it was more of a recording studio. So I had, the TDM plugins and a big 888 rack. And, I don't know, I've always just used the classic kind of keyboards as they come through, and MPCs and Tritons and stuff like that. All the old school kind of stuff.
Have you found is there anything about hardware that you still use in your workflow, or are you more all software now? Or?
I've actually, when I moved down here, I was doing so much traveling that I moved all, internal software. I was like, I don't want anything. I want to just be able to play. I was making most of the beats just off the keypads, on my keyboard.
Yeah,
you know
totally
what I mean?
Finger drumming on the QWERTY.
And now that I have a better kind of studio set up down here, I'm looking into other hardware stuff. I got the Novation guy and a few other guys just messing around with the machine and learning from your templates today, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it was hard. We had to wrestle the machine into submission. They for those of you who don't know, Native Instruments machine, it's a beat pad that a lot of people really like, but man, it is hard to get it to play nice with Ableton annoying. And the controller editor and stuff. They're all like, "Oh, Ableton's competing with machines, so we'll make it hard for you to use." It's just anyway, but yeah, we made it through.
We did.
A lot of slogging. Yeah, it's not all just
I didn't understand what he did, but he did a bunch of stuff and it worked.
But yeah, so we got machine to work. But yeah, if you're gonna buy a machine, watch out, because they can be a bit tricky. Cool. Well, so you've been producing a lot lately in your tracks. The quality level, especially in the last couple years, I feel that's been really you've kind of really come into your own in the last couple of years. Was there any kind of breakthrough that you can tell us about, or what was it that led to that evolution?
Man, I find it almost takes 5 to 10 years as an artist to find your sound. You know what I mean? So I found maybe about 5 years ago I really found my sound and found different key chord changes and note changes or whatever that makes a listener be like, oh yeah, Stylust would do that. That is probably one of his tunes or stuff like that.
Cool.
And so just developing that really, and like kind of in the hip hop world, like you're always kind of trying to produce the next hit but the same as the last. So I was like, you know, when Pharrell was hot, I was trying to sound like Pharrell, or when Timbaland was hot, I was trying to make those crazy Timbaland drums or whatever. And then I guess about 5 years ago, I just realized, like, you know what, just make what you feel like making that morning when you woke up. Don't pressure yourself to always try and make the biggest club hit or whatever. Just like have fun, and you know, those club hits will come, or you know, the dancing stuff will come. And yeah, just been focusing on that and really working on my craft, and moving from Reason to Ableton was really good for me. Like I said, I used to work with Acid, and Ableton's like Acid's exactly what you wanted Acid to do back in the day. You know what I mean? And Reason was cool and I liked it, but it was just too inside the box. And Acid, you can use all these external VSTs and stuff. And I did the Rewire thing with Reason for a while, and then just ended up tossing Reason.
Cool. So you don't use it at all?
Not really. I just don't like want to have two sessions for one song.
Going back and forth.
That's the only reason. But I lost all my patches.
Oh no!
Yeah, like,
I was gonna say
they were all on the Combinator or Subtractor and stuff like that. Yeah, because
that was such a cool way to store patches. It's kind of like racks, you know, where it's like all contained in one thing. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, catastrophic.
But we're building new ones.
Data
so
loss. That's the worst, man. Like I remember my first Burning Man. You know, I went and saw like it was like 2006, like the first year the Glitch Mob were like doing their thing, you know, and like I was just like really into the new sounds that I was exposed to and stuff. And I came home and I was like, yeah, I'm so charged up. I'm gonna write some music. And some fucking power surge or something had happened at my house, and it completely destroyed every component of both of my computers. So I lost all of my data, the motherboards, the hard drives. I couldn't even take a single component and find a single individual component that worked.
Like the first time you turned it on after Burning Man, it was just...
Yeah, it was just everything was done. Everything was done. And that was actually kind of like the end of the Fat Conductor and the beginning of ill.Gates, because it was just like, wow, I'm starting from zero, you know, like just catastrophic data loss.
That's crazy. Well, it helps you build, I guess, sometimes, you know?
Yeah, you have to look at it.
Nothing you can do about it, yeah.
Totally. Like, you're
that's what I was trying to do. Anyway.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So, speaking of your recent music, you recently did a banger of a tune with Lauren Bassnectar. Can you tell us a bit about you know, your experience creating that tune, and like, you know, how you feel about it? And what... Totally.
Yeah, I started working with Lauren, or he started hearing my tracks about 4 years ago, and it was like my friend Sean Lala, who was a A&R rep at Universal at the time, he passed on some of my tunes, and I had only made like 3 what I guess you would call now dubstep or those kind of electronic tunes, and he ended up really liking one of them and used one as his intro for his whole Cause of Frenzy tour. So he was basically the first DJ to ever play my tunes, which is like, I look back at it now and be like, yeah, that's crazy. You know?
That's pretty big.
So I was pretty stoked on that. And then we always kind of went back and forth. And then he asked me to remix the original Cause of Frenzy. And I did. It was like Fidget was hot at the time.
Yeah.
And I did this like weird Fidget remix. And I don't think, it never really even made the album. But it was like... It was a download, like, digital. It made the digital download album, if you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And so just since then, we've been kind of trading tunes back and forth. And he gave me the opportunity to remix something on NVSB. And I made kind of a template. I did it that day. He hit me up, and I was actually at my brother's stag at the time in Portland. And they were all going out for dinner. I was like, you know what, I'm kind of inspired. Let me work on this little thing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So you just banged it out then and there? Like
I banged out, the general idea there. And then he had another tune that we were kind of working back and forth. And he's like, what if we use kind of the chords or the build-ups for this intro, and then we kind of merge the two tunes together. And then, sent it out to him, and he put all the golden touches on it. And
cool.
Yeah, it was really
he really is good at those things that you just, like, you get all the way to the finish line, and then he's just like, hey, but if you just do this, and this, and this, and it just, like, totally changes the tune. I really
some of the drum stuff he added, and, like, just, like, the texture of some of the cymbals in the background are just, like, made it really fucking crush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is awesome.
Because it's like, it takes like 20% of the effort to get a tune 80% of the way, and then it takes 80% of the effort for that last 20%. I find Lauren's like a real expert at that last 20%. You know, that's what really kind of.
And that's awesome. That's usually like when I collab with other people, I usually want to be that last 20% and be like, no, let me do the mix or the final thing or whatever. But having him do that was a blessing.
Yeah, it's fun. Most of the time when I work with him, it's like that too, where I'll generate the possibilities.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like you do a lot of the sound picking and sound design and stuff. And then from there, he'll be like, oh, no, you got to do this. So then, you know, flips it on its head and takes shit out of the way and blah, 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 blah.
Totally.
But yeah, it's he's definitely a lot of fun to work with.
Shouts out to Lauren.
Yeah, shouts out Lauren.
You're the man.
What's up, bud? Thanks for, you know, headhunting us Canucks. We appreciate it.
That's right.
Cool. So, you're saying that you produced that tune relatively quickly. Is there anything that you can, like maybe some of our viewers are trying to produce more quickly? Is there anything that you can say that really helps you to keep the process moving when you're writing?
I don't know, man. It's mainly inspiration, but I find like a lot of my best tunes just happen quickly. Yeah. It's not like I had everything set up and everything just kind of, well, everything does just kind of come and it just kind of falls together because of like previous work you've done here or there, or maybe a song that's half finished, but you use that idea, kind of stuff like that. So I find like just my best stuff comes together quickly.
Cool.
Yeah. And the stuff that you labor on for, 2 weeks to 2 months always just comes out just kind of contrived, or like, oh, you overthought, or the arrangements too fucking
totally
too simple or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I found like that's why I put such an emphasis on like producing quickly in my courses and stuff. Man, there's so many people who just like, they don't understand, they think that like you're supposed to sit there like spending hundreds and hundreds of hours on every tune.
Yeah.
It's just not as fun that way. And
no, definitely not.
I think it's just about what it makes you feel, and it's so easy to lose touch of what it actually feels like to listen to a song when you're pulling teeth, and trying to shoehorn parts in.
And when things are like bare boned like that, like at the start of tunes, like melodies just come in your head, and if you can kind of recreate those melodies fast, they're still in your head and they actually compose. I can't think of like so many times I'll be in my studio and go out for a break and still have the tune playing and be like, oh yeah, that melody will be perfect, and then I go back in for my break and the melody's gone. You know what I mean? So if you're just sitting there, I don't know, you got your caffeine, your coffee, your joints, whatever.
So, how do you enter your melodies? Are you playing them? Are you sequencing with the mouse, or how do you? What's your
no, they're usually with keyboards.
Okay, cool. So did you take piano, or you just kind of like figure it out, or
no? When I was growing up, I took piano, and then kind of as I realized piano wasn't that cool, I got into guitar as the kind of grunge stuff got in, and just always reverted to piano and turntablism and played drums a little bit really poorly because my brother had a band and they had drums in their little jam spot and stuff like that. So
cool. So hey, let's say that you had the magical ability, or here I'll top you off there from my my water jug here. But let's say that hypothetically you had the magical ability to tell yourself in the past, a few words to help yourself get through some obstacles as a producer. If you had a time machine or the ability to communicate with yourself in the past, what would you tell yourself in the past to help make your progress faster?
I just say don't force it, and really like don't put too much pressure on yourself, and just allow things to come into your kind of creative space and work around them and work with them, instead of trying to be a producer that you're not. Maybe your calling is the chiller stuff and you'll find that out later or whatever. But
cool.
I just say like take the pressure off and really enjoy the fact that you get to make music at this time, and look at it as a sacred thing and don't force it, I guess.
Okay, cool. Do you have any last words for our viewers? Anyone you want to give shouts out to? Anything like that?
I don't know. Just shout out to everyone who supports, and thanks for having me over ill.Gates, and bless up. Do your thing. All right, cool. Lots of love. Stay up. Keep making music. Peace. Keep loving music. Keep spreading the love. That's right. We love you. More videos to come. I'm ill.Gates. Stylust Beats. Ill Communication. Lots of love, everybody. Bless.